This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For January 10th, 2024, damn it, 2025. It's the best sounding podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, episode number 101.
Wow.
That's a lot of episodes.
That's a lot of episodes. That's probably how the year's going to go right there.
Three good ones.
Hey, that's like 3%.
Hey.
All right. Broadcasting live across 4 time zones from coast to coast, easternmost to westernmost, northernmost to southernmost, gate post to hitching post. I'm your local host who can boast the most milk toast and utmost humility. I'm Chris Dector, and time for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure. And I think I'm going to rewrite that intro because I'm getting sick of it. Let's say hello to today's panel of august AV super friends with this one.
Would you call me?
You heard me.
A disgusting AV super friend.
Joined by a product implementation consultant from Kansas City. Say hello to Jamie Reinhardt.
I'll make sure you implement my product in only the best way.
Also joined by an interactive communications facilitator from Corvallis, Oregon. Everyone say hello to Marc Kolowazinski.
Ooh, interactive. We can touch it, but we're not going to hear it. You can only touch this one.
You're just facilitating.
And I'm just going to tell you how.
Also joined by a central directive synergist from Greensboro, North Carolina, Larry Darling.
Yeah, I got nothing for this one. So
centrally.
Middle Synergized directories. Centrally. Finally joined by our Vice President for Global Research from Bowling Green, Kentucky, Mr. Justin Rexing.
I've only worked 2 days this year, so
Vice President?
hasn't been a lot of global research happening, so we have nothing to report on.
So is the world flat or is it round? Can you even give us any context here? Where are we at?
It's round. I've just only worked 2 days.
We got that much research done. This just in.
Vacation.
He's researching globally.
Yeah, I can't research when it's snowing outside.
It's too bad. You're a 3-season researcher. Are you like satellite TV? It's messing up your reception.
It is.
All right. So on today's show, we're gonna kick off a brand new series reviewing some of our own internal recent projects. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. We're also going to talk about consumer devices driving commercial AV because it's that time of year, after Christmas. So now all the stuff that you really wanted for Christmas is now coming out. But first, some housekeeping. So first of all, if you are listening to this not on a Friday afternoon right now, because that's when it is. It's right now. Now is now. If you're not listening to this right now and you're listening to this as a recorded MP3 that you downloaded to your phone or whatever, we do stream live on Fridays at about 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. You can join us live on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. And I forgot again, but sometimes we can take calls. If you can't join us live, we do still want you to connect with us. I got to fire that up early. So. If you can't join us live, we want you to connect with us on the socials. Please follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Blue Sky, and all that fun stuff. And please don't forget to spread the word. Share this podcast with your friends, colleagues, enemies, perfect strangers, anyone who might enjoy it. If you could be that person who blocks the door close button in a elevator and makes people download and subscribe, do that.
What floor are you going to? Not until you listen to this.
You got to listen to this entire episode. We ain't going anywhere.
Hope you got an hour.
So. Alternatively, if you want to stand up as an airplane is taxiing and say, ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention for a moment, please, and cause that plane to sit on the tarmac for about 6 hours while there may or may not be a security issue, that would be great too.
Or just listen to it without headphones while on the plane. That's fun too.
Yes.
Yeah. On speaker.
You could be that guy. So if you want to support the show, please consider donating. Your contributions help us to keep bringing you the honest content you love or love to hate. And you can find the donation link in the show notes of this very episode or right there on our website. And to those of you who do donate regularly and you're out there, thanks much.
Thank you.
We also do want to hear from you. So if there's a topic you'd like us to cover, send us an email or comment on social media. You can hit us up at mailbag@AVSuperFriends or Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Blue Sky, etc. And finally, as you're listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of those stuff, please go in and rate and review us because it bumps us up in the algos and then we show up for more people who wonder what the heck is going on there.
Mm-hmm. So there's more stuff for people to click on and say, that's not what I wanted to hear.
Like, what is this weird icon in my list of podcasts? I've never seen this before. So, all right.
We'll take those numbers. They're fine.
Yes. Hey, they download it. Fine by me. So
it works.
And now, since you've waited for it all year, it's the very first news segment of the year.
We're going to do it live.
We're going to do this right now. Here it is, the news.
Yeah.
Justin does that live every time.
No, you just did it exactly the same.
That is
That's
not
amazing.
a recorded bit. That is Justin ventriloquizing. Ventriloquizing.
I understood that. I knew what that meant.
All right, so today's news comes from a random ass email from Crestron that has been making
all of them anymore, is it?
Yeah, that has been making some waves recently.
I haven't read any of this. That's kind of the
shtick
here. Like,
hang on, yeah.
I don't know really what's
so
happening.
let me give you
with
the
this
headline
news, so.
because it's been making waves online because of the headline, and much like Tickety Talks or whatever, people don't read the actual articles. The headline is Crestron continuing digital media.
Discontinuing.
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 I've screwed it up. Crestron discontinuing digital media.
Which one?
And then
doesn't matter now.
frames and cards and all that stuff.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, all the stuff you've grown to hate anyway.
So as you actually dig into what they're doing, and it is somewhat telling, it's a bit of a harbinger. Crestron is discontinuing a lot of products that probably don't sell as well or can be easily duplicated by another product they already make. But primarily, it's a lot of their chassis and cards and card frames, which, by the way, if you are still using those, please stop. As the owner of 648 16 by 16 and 32 by 32 chassis, I have built an entire building out of them. I have many of them out there.
Right? They all have to be running concurrently,
separate.
like just all bolted together.
When you said that, I thought you were actually building walls out of your chassis, like actually building a building.
I seriously have
Your
over 30
600.
16 by 16 chassis. So
that'd make a pretty
deployed,
decent
actually
building.
running right now.
though I do enjoy when I get to remove them and toss them in the nearest waterway.
How many MPS 100s do you have live running?
None. I'm not Western Kentucky University.
This guy.
So, anyway,
Justin, this was a problem for you not that long ago. You had some cards you were trying to get your hands on and some frames you were trying to resurrect, was it not?
Marc sent me, because Oregon has all the Oregon money.
You need some old
They sent
surplus
some
ones.
cards to Kentucky where we're poor. I went through them all, tested it. Like
They were
half
all
of them
broken.
worked. Yeah.
You're
half
welcome.
Of them worked. It's like, well,
It's worth a
you
shot.
paid for that shipping, so.
Yeah, you did. but so you actually are having to resurrect these things though still, right? Now, I don't know if you're using any of these part numbers. I hope not.
That
However,
part list was
when you say
pretty
using,
comprehensive.
I'm not using or designing actively this stuff.
But your
Plugging
rooms
holes
are
as they are
using them.
leaking though. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we don't have any money, so
Well, now you don't.
I mean,
yeah, it's fine.
it makes
gotta
sense.
keep things running.
Look, their product inventory is out of this world
But this helps
anyway.
me. This is a good thing for a WKU.
Right. That's
Because
seeing
now
the silver lining
I
in this.
cannot band-aid your stuff anymore,
No,
so
stop.
therefore
It's
we
end
have
of
to
life.
replace
Can't
it.
get it.
It's like, oh.
This is the replacement.
So this helps me out quite a bit.
I don't think it's going to help you as much as you think it is,
No, you
because if
want
you
it
actually
to,
look at the parts that are being discontinued,
There's
pretty-
some wacky stuff in there.
yeah, there's
Like the
analog.
VGA.
There's analog inputs. There's
video,
streaming
RCA.
cards.
But you can still get the DMPS3.
I was going to bring that up, yes. And it amuses me to
your
no
ass.
end that Crestron, I think, twice now has tried to kill the 3 Series DMPS units. And there are so many schools out there who, when they were building their time machines in their physics department, somehow got it stuck on 2012. They can't get out of that, and they have to keep buying DMPSs. So
It's working.
there are
It's
people
just
out there
working.
listening to this right now who just today specified a DMPS 350 for a project. I guarantee you.
Shame on you.
Did anyone else have to go out and search what a DM essential product was? Because I had never heard that word before.
Is that their
what is
DM
it,
Lite?
Larry?
Or is that...
No, it's not DM
Educate
Lite.
us.
All right, Larry, what is
It's
it?
like all their
Worse.
non-DM HDMI switchers and
Yeah, that's
weird
all that
stuff
little
like
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had
All-
no
all-
idea.
like
I
their
didn't know they
HDMD
used
series and all
Yeah,
that
wasn't,
stuff?
that
wasn't it
word.
like the HDMI essential
Yeah,
or something like that at one
HDMI.
point?
Yeah, now
HDMD
it's
is light, isn't it?
No, apparently it's
No.
not. So
no.
HDMD?
That product line is. I don't think it's the DM Lite. I think it's just the.
This is the problem
HDMI
when you have
tool.
multiple series called the same shit. Like stuff.
yeah, so what does that mean? They have now
Like,
DM
call it
Essentials,
different stuff.
DM Lite, DM NVX. Is there another one that has
There's 2 versions of DM Lite. They're not
Oh, that's right.
interchangeable.
Yes, there's like the
the
real one and
HD
then the
based
cousin.
compatible and the other one? Yeah, so
Yeah.
5 flavors of DM.
I'm so glad I don't buy this shit. I'm so glad I stopped. Years ago, I stopped. I'm like, screw you,
need
guys,
more of it, Jamie.
out.
You need it.
I like.
You need more of it.
It's all DMPSs.
So yeah, all that stuff. Go ahead.
But if nothing else, I am my 2 comments is one. I'm first of all, based on the chipset shortages of a few years ago, I'm surprised they're still making this shit. Secondly,
are they? I feel like they're just like getting to the back of the warehouse. Like,
maybe it's
we're down to the final 2 of these things, man.
Found some chips in the back box, and like, I guess we got to use these because we're not.
Even
they're trying to not pay rent on that warehouse anymore. They're trying to get out of there.
They're trying to like gingerly step away from the older stuff. So I don't know. It's
good for them. So
yeah, like I said, it made waves because people read the headlines and then read past that. But the first 3 letters of the headline, or first 3 words of the headline, are Crestron discontinuing DigitalMedia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people freaked out. Yeah.
Well, and then it says frames and
on
cards
their way to the singularity of being the software company they've always wanted to be.
I wonder who these people.
Except they discontinued the software too.
Yeah, they got rid of the software first too. So I'm not
Probably
really sure
universities, because if you didn't read it,
or integrators.
No, there's a lot of universities out there that are still all DMPS.
There's a lot of DMPS out there. Yeah, there's a whole lot.
Consultants are like, oh my god, I can't copy and paste.
Yeah,
anymore.
now I got to go learn something. Crap.
Shit.
But your standard said DMPS.
Yeah.
Find and replace DM for DM and VX
with new lines on it.
The standard we got from you in 2016 says this. So,
oh well. So
it's going to actually make me work.
It's okay. You'll be fine.
We'll take a quick break here. Come back. We're going to talk about our new series of discussions into projects that we're doing, and we'll give you some heads up on what that is. And this is going to be an ongoing series, so it's going to take several months for us to get through this. So this is going to be a long
first
episode.
One. Yeah.
So, we're breaking up into episodes. I thought.
Yeah, they made me be here for this one, which I was trying to opt out.
What else were you going to do?
Yeah, it's snowing.
Yeah. All right.
Justin doesn't go outside.
Like I got stuff to do outside, like snowing,
sledding.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back in 1 minute and 4 seconds.
Are you tired of those outdated digital signage displays cluttering up your campus? Do you wish there was a way to keep your events fresh and exciting month after month? Introducing Independent Amalgamated Analog Digital Signage, the only service that delivers brand spanking new informational posters right to your doorstep every single month. It's the beginning of the month, and what do you get? A shiny new poster with all the latest event details ready to dazzle your colleagues. Not only will our posters keep your events looking fresh, but they'll also keep you on your toes. Because our posters are printed weeks in advance, the information may not always be correct. But hey, who needs accuracy when you've got style? With Independent Amalgamated Analog Digital Signage, you'll never have to worry about boring clip art, stock video footage, and converted PowerPoint files again. Join the madness today and watch your workplace transform into a poster paradise. Independent Amalgamated Analog Digital Signage. Because who needs accuracy when you've got style?
I don't need accuracy even without style, but
I just think wait for the new anti-mint commercial. It's gonna be nice.
It's on the list of like 40 of them, so there's ways to go. Alrighty, so first topic today is we're going to kick off this new series. So here's the concept for the series. We want to talk at length about projects that we're doing internally ourselves. These are all real projects that we're doing. We decided they have to be a not a regular classroom, conference room, whatever. This has
standards.
To be something interesting, unique, something out there, something whatever. Because we want to talk
new level. We're creating new levels.
It doesn't have to be better. Can be worse.
It can be far worse.
Yes. So let's make sure we're setting the bar somewhere else.
Because of that, we're not able to simply copy and paste from that.
That's hedging my bets right now.
We're not able to copy and paste from that same design we used 8 years ago, like a consultant. So we're doing an actual process of going through the project from soup to nuts. And this is going to take probably several months. We'll revisit these every couple of shows for 20 or 30 minutes and talk about different aspects. We'll talk about the initial concept, the initial meeting, that initial ask. We'll talk about the needs analysis, the design,
why
the concept.
we did this stuff to begin with.
All the way through.
It sounds
like
a
lot of work.
And yeah, but if you're hearing this and you have questions, we also want to hear from you. If you're questioning any level of sanity or insanity about any of these projects, make sure you chime in as well. Like why, or if you would have done a different way, we want to hear you also, because I think that's the point of this is to tease out all the options. So.
Yes, and to that point, today Marc is going to be kicking us off with his project. The other 4 of us are going to be interrupting the shit out of him as we keep bringing up questionable decisions that he made all the way through. So
it's gonna be more of us going like, but why?
This is it's kind of a version
like
of a roast. This is like a project roast. Is kind of what this is. So that's really.
I didn't bring material, but I could try to write some real quick. But, all right,
so Mark, thick skin. Here we go.
Yeah, I walked right into this one, or I stumbled into it. Kicking it off. All right, so the project.
Oh, I wouldn't have done that.
Oh
No.
You wouldn't kicked it off?
I wouldn't call it a project.
We've already failed. It's already failed.
We'll step back one step. The ask. Hey, I'd like to meet and talk about a war room. Right? Have any of you had that we want to make a war room?
Yep.
I was like, that's interesting.
Is it with
It's
or
been a
without
while,
guns?
but yes.
Yeah, well, it's like I've never done a war room specifically, and this is a departure for like what we're doing. I was like, oh, this is cool. So this is a lot of leadership.
It's Oregon.
Hey, there's been a change of nomenclature over the years here, right? And so, anyway, so we met, got the clients together. We met in space, and I want to have a space where I can get a lot of people together, and we can go over and show the data of our organization.
What's a lot? What does a lot mean?
Good question. Up to 200 was the initial
at one time.
I don't
Same
know.
room?
No, sequentially, one at a time.
That was a big number. And I was like, I knew the room, I knew the space. I was like, that's a lot of people. I was like, that's interesting.
Will that room hold that many people?
No.
Okay, cool.
So
good.
Don't worry about that any longer. The answer is no, it will not. And so clients being leadership, many institutions probably have some version of a digital transformation type project coming along the pipe somewhere. If you don't have one, just wait 6 months, you'll have one. Where you have this massive directive on high, we're going to do all of this, which is a clever way of we're moving to the cloud. Right. And we're going to bring people in, and we need to be able to have people that can work here on site, work from home, and we're going to have a lot of activity. It's going to be a lot of buzzwords, all the buzzwords, right? We want to have mobile first strategy, all that, right? So what would you all like, if that was the basic ask, where would you start? What do you think is kind of the takeaway? Like,
I would delay as much as possible because that ask will go away eventually.
Maybe you may not be wrong. However, remember, it's coming from on high. It's coming from way up, right?
I think that's important.
So what are these people doing?
Where did
what
this?
Are they actually
hold on a second, Justin. Hold on. Who specifically did the request come from? Because I think that's important in this case.
C-suite or C-level suite, depending on who is giving you that.
C-level suite. So their feet were wet.
Sea level.
Yes.
They were at sea level.
At sea level. So this is high as you can go in the organization, right? CIO, that's where we are. That's what's going on.
The president.
Right.
Then.
Yeah. And so you can't slough it off. You have to go down and at least let's entertain this. Let's put this together. And because of that same thing you said, 200 people, we're not going to fit 200 people here. And that happened right away. Like we knew this was going to be a larger venture than just, it's not an AV ask, right? It's not like, it became really apparent right away that there's more to this than just give me a big display on a wall where I can sit up here and talk and I can have an audience. That was not going to be the end all be all. And so this building that it was taking place in was an old building, actually was not affiliated with the university early on. They took ownership of it. So it had like none of the industry or university standard building code in it. It was built more like a residential space, not like a commercial space. And that's telling because I want, like, remember when you open up spaces to renovate and do a lot of work, you become like responsible for putting them all back together, right? So it has a lot of unknowns.
Whoa.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have to put it back together?
Right. So
does it have an attic and a crawl space?
Probably yes.
There's a sub basement.
Okay.
Basement
of the basement.
It's two sub basements. No. So anyway, walked in there. There wasn't even a space to accommodate this basic ask. There's like pillars in the middle of everything. There's no real clear like main room to do this in. And as we explored, okay, go ahead.
I still don't know what we're doing.
Nor do I.
Okay.
Remember, we're doing a war room. We have a lot of people to talk to. We're talking about the big things, and we're going to change, and it's going to be interactive. We're going to have all these people. Right? Digital transformation. That's what we're doing.
Okay.
So, when people are giving you that type of information, what are you imagining? Because that's the same stuff I'm trying to figure out. What does this mean?
I'm
What does it mean to the
imagining these
C
people
level,
need to get
C-suite
a
folks?
reasonable definition of what they want.
This is when you have to start meeting and throwing out things like it's
I have a lot of questions.
right, and that's what we're talking about. Like we're going in here. So as we met, it was like, oh, I want a massive display. I want a huge display. I'm like, okay, we have something now. We know we at least need a big ass display of some sort. Here's the kicker: 8 foot ceilings. Go ahead.
A big ass display or a big ass display?
Either way, I think they're both on the table at this point.
You want that? You want to make sure you get the hyphen in the right place.
Yes, exactly. And so, as big a display as we possibly can to be as impactful as possible, right? We want to be able to impact. So, as I was meeting with them, I was teasing. I'm like, okay, so we want a space we're going to meet, and we're going to give the goings on and the data of this work that we're doing, this new transformative work that these groups are doing, and we want to basically have big wow factor. And that was like, yes, we want that. I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. We know we're going to have some type of large volume display.
I would argue we're not getting anywhere, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, why not?
Entertained.
Why are we not anywhere? What are we missing?
So far we have a TV that could be anywhere from 43 inch to 98 inch, maybe.
You're not wrong.
Or maybe
you're not wrong.
Maybe
but I would question your impact level.
Yeah, still don't know what we're doing. We got more questions for the client on. So you're right where you should be, because you're right where I was, and that's the whole point of this, right? And that as we've gone through, it became more than a space. That we knew that this was not going to be one space, because as we met in this locale, it became apparent that there was going to be much more than just a meeting space, right? We started getting there's going to be hotel workers there. I'm like, wait, what? There's going to be hotel workers and people coming and going like this. That's not a conference room. What are we doing? Like going back to what are we doing in the space, right?
Exactly. So now we had to back up. Whoa. Let's talk about
transformative work is not an answer to that question.
No, it's not. But this is the kind of stuff that comes in, right? This is like, it's easy to like do the copy paste, like, no, just going to be a standard whatever room, but this is clearly not going to be that, right? It was talked about like, maybe it's just going to be a conference room. Maybe it's going to, we had ideas of maybe what they wanted, but it wasn't until we got to that in real life with them on site and started walking through, and they started walking through, it became very apparent this was going to be a remodel project, a full-on space building remodel, but it didn't start that way. It started as we just think we want this big war room, and then by meeting with the clients, they became more aware that, hey, this is not going to just work as one spot, which was nice, right? I mean, it was good and bad because the expectation changed radically. It went from being like, this is just a room refresh technology project to this is now a capital project, right? And that changed who the stakeholders are.
And that means someone else pays for it.
Yeah, funding changed.
That's the thing. It did. The funding changed. Everything changed, right? And so it went from being like this postage stamp of a space, maybe 75 by 50 or whatever it was, to a whole floor remodel of a building that was not a university spec building, but was an acquired building with residential standards, right? And so at that point, it was like, okay, this budget, we're going to,
this has multiple floors?
Has multiple floors, but we decided, and the clients decided, that we're going to keep the scope to this second floor. Right.
So this building doesn't have an elevator either.
It does. I'm not saying it's a house. I'm just saying
it was a house.
No, I said it's residential building standards. It's not a house. Right. And so we being academic technology folks reached out to our capital projects office and said, hey, there's a little bit more going on. Can we set up another round of meetings to really tease out what we want to be able to do in there? Because it's quickly grown to be more than just a single room request of just a conference room. There's more going on here. At that point, we reached out, scheduled a meeting, and then it was nice for us to bring in the capital project group. That's very rare that we bring in the capital project group. Usually we're kind of summoned to them, but we brought them in, which they then coordinated and kind of brought in their PM to say, hey, let's kick off this meeting. What are we going to do? And they kind of had a similar basket of questions. Well, who's doing what? And it was the AMP project. It's Administrative Modernization Program, right? And so we had a name for what the work and the groups that were going to be going on up here. The who's will be doing the what's in this space. right? And so now we had some parties that we could ask, like, so what does success look like to you? And when we started to ask those questions, then things got weird, right? Because it became, I don't really care about a war room. That's not really what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be meeting with different stakeholders from campus, from different businesses, and it became non-academic. There's no academic use case whatsoever in this space. 100% business, right? It's for this project. And everybody said, we know we want to have collaborative spaces. We don't know how many we're going to have, but we know we're going to need a mix of some small, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, some mix of large, 5, 12 people, one big giant room that could act as this large meeting with maybe it can overflow into other spaces. And we need an army worth of hoteling spaces in here for people that are going to bring their own devices, drop down, work for a day, work for an hour, and then leave. And they may or may not be affiliated with the university, right? All of those things, like, is all red flags of stuff we don't do in like academic spaces. That's not stuff that we usually do as a standard cookie cutter thing. Right? So I'm going to pause. Like,
I'm confused by the number of homeless people you have in this building.
This is Oregon.
Is there hot desking?
Yes.
That's hotel. That's
the hotel.
The same definition.
So have you had any?
Not?
Well,
it's similar, but
it's
not the same.
it's a fine line.
in my head.
It's a nuanced thing. Yeah. Justin, file that one in the bullshit category and just leave it over there, because then you don't have to worry about it.
So we kind of started having some buckets of use case, right? That's kind of, I looked at, I'm like, what were the main use cases we're kind of solving for here? We had some square footage for the hoteling, transient workers. We had some collaborative areas,
Showers in there.
small, medium, and large. Big kind of impact wow space. And there was some signage. They said, well, we want to make sure we have signage in here too. Right?
Could it be analog?
It very well may have been analog. They're like, no, it'd be nice to have, a digital signage presence to tell the story. So they started thinking about, what does it look like for somebody to actually come and walk through this space? What is a day in a life like? If somebody's coming in here, where are they coming from?
Empty.
What are they doing?
That's what it's going to look like.
It's empty right now, or it was, but like, how do you envision that? And so the kind of square footage and focus became second floor and a stairwell. Because we wanted to make sure that the branding was carried through, because there's a branding element of all this as well. And then leadership said, we really want to put money into this space, invest in it. It's wrapped around this project specifically, but we want it to kind of be showcasey, but kind of modern, but not like, we're not going to overly invest. I mean, if once this project's done, it can be repurposed as other business uses, right? And that was a little bit of a riddle, because now you're like, okay, I want something, but I don't want anything permanent.
Yeah, and it has to fall within your standards a little bit at that point.
Does it? Does it?
Because it has to be repurposed.
It has
Come
to be
and kid apart, Marc.
supportable. It has to be supportable, right? And it's not the stuff; it's how do we take care of it.
Can that be supported by somebody who's not you?
Maybe, might be.
Well, then technically supportable.
Then everything's back on the table.
Everything's on the table, right? And so I was like, well, we take a look at the floor plan. I'm going to kind of talk through what the floor plan really involved here, and before we really get into what things were. And we may not get into the bits and bytes of this, but I want to kind of at least set the stage of this weird ask and how it transformed from a little war room to a full-on capital project floor remodel, because I said, you want more than a war room. Seldom do I have the opportunity to balloon something that much of a budget. And here we were. And so the space is the entryway area. You walk up a staircase that will have branding in it that will keep that AMP branding throughout. You have a welcome area, informal space, a lot of sit stand kind of there. There's a wow wall on there that has branding. It's telling a story, some digital signage of the data of what this group is doing. There are a couple office spaces in there that are actually centrally located in that core. So the director of this organization is in that space. Flanking around those offices are some small touchdown phone areas. Flexible people can come in, take a phone call. It's quiet and the like. There's kind of like a honeycomb-ish looking area of desks that are really serving that hoteling. People who are coming down, they're going to work for a day or a half a day or an hour or whatever it may be. There's a lot of consultants.
You're saying that the people who work in the honeycomb hideout only have to work for half an hour a day?
I don't know. That's the beauty of the whole thing. And nobody gave me like, here's how many.
Oh, these are working from home people.
This is the on-prem version of supporting a whole fleet of work from home folk. Right. Okay. And then we had some pre-existing small offices that said, well, we can carve up these offices and make small collaborative areas in them. So let's just pretend those are going to be small collaboration rooms. I'm like, okay, cool. So we got some square footage, and then we had an additional square footage space that could make 2 medium kind of conference rooms. And then we had a larger space that was roughly, I think it's 45 feet wide by roughly 45 feet long, 25 feet wide.
Is that the one that was supposed to hold to 200 people?
It originally was. And I said, well, can we get more realistic around this? Like, what's really going to be there? And they said, well, it's probably going to be the major stakeholders. So maybe it's like 30 or 40. I'm like, great. That's much easier to solve for, right? But it'd be nice if we could have it be able to expand, right? So now you start just like, ooh, I hate movable walls. I don't like any of that stuff, right? And so they're like, yeah, we're going to do that. And I was like, what can I do to talk you out of that? I've already putting a lot of energy into talking somebody out of movable walls, because refer to the episode when we talk about our love for movable walls.
Because they're all terrible.
Right. Yeah. And so there's another like adolescent size little conference room space in there that could attach to this one maybe. So they started to really think, okay, this kind of feels right based on working with the architectural firm who came out of like airport redevelopment remodeling. So a firm out of San Francisco came up, and they've done these refresh of like hangars, and they made like these modern, like hip refresh spaces of like airports and businesses that, you've all seen like the Google-fied things and like all, like they're very much, that's their bread and butter. They do that kind of stuff. Right. And so, leadership didn't want to spend a lot of money for stuff you weren't going to see. It's important, because I think I took that to heart when I said, we don't want to heavily invest in things in these walls and opening things up that we're going to spend tons of money to bring it up to current code, because we're never going to see a return on that investment. Right? And so we're not going to open all these walls up and replumb and repower, repull.
You're saying it's just wire mold everywhere.
Where did they get the calculator to math that shit out?
Project managers. They were very afraid because they had done work in this building in previous years and knew every time they would open a wall, it would spiral out of control.
That's why you do it right the first time. And
we didn't build the building.
Well, I know, but we've had these buildings and we take them over. Mm-hmm. And we get in there, we try to get into a ceiling. Oh, it's lock and spline. Oh, we can't touch it because it costs. Yes. Just do it. Just rip it all out once.
Well, let me go back to 1976 when it was built and do it right.
And you save tons of money going forward on every little project you do in the building.
You're not wrong.
So
there's the city standard, state standard, and then there's the feds are going to come and do whatever they're going to do. This is a federally built building. They don't care. They don't care what the city does. They don't care what the university does. They're going to do it however they want to do it. So we have 2 different building standards at play here. And our capital project offices had done enough work in the space to know it's always been a problem every time they open up a wall in here. So that was kind of part of the challenge we had worked with the architectural firms. Like, we don't want to open the guts of this building because all the budget's going to be blown on stuff we're never going to see. And so that represented an interesting challenge, right? And so that, as I heard at
that point, you could basically do whatever you wanted as long as you didn't touch the floors, ceiling, or walls.
Pretty much.
Perfect.
Which is like, shit. That's kind of where all of our stuff lives, isn't it? Like, it kind of lives on the floor, ceiling, or wall.
Where all my stuff goes.
Yeah. And so then, as we got like a few more minutes to kind of go into this, when we did like the little charrettes meeting with the architectural firm, they kept showing us some examples of projects they've done. And that was my first introduction to the dirt wall.
Oh my God, don't even bring this shit up, dude. Don't even talk. We need to stop the episode.
I'm telling you. Okay,
we're not just doing dirt walls.
Understand it. I've never had dirt wall like. And they were like, "This is what we're doing." I was like, "Oh boy!"
Anybody out there, if you ever hear dirt walls, run, because what they do is they they take your project managers and send them on vacations and give them a bunch of money to spec them in every project, and then they end up in places where they don't need to be because it's just a standard wall.
So I think we need to back up because I think all of us know what a dirt wall is. A dirt wall, despite the name, that's the dude's name. Mm-hmm. It's not a wall made of soil.
No, it's not made of dirt.
Should be.
That's not what. So
it's a demountable modular wall system.
Yes, it's a modular wall system, and so people are saying, why the hell would you want to do that? Because it comes in on the furniture budget.
Yes,
it comes in on the furniture side.
It's FF&E, and you can never, ever fish another cable through it.
So
I have once.
It has to be built with the conduits at the plant.
Larry,
it's better
we
to
can
know.
do it. It's just no yet.
So
it's not fun, but I had to once.
And so I was not sold at all, and I'm still not sold. But it became apparent that they're going to do some kind of treatment to create some of these spaces because we didn't have 2 medium-sized conference rooms. We didn't have auxiliary wall. We didn't have a single enclosed large space. Right. And so they had to create those areas. They knew they weren't going to open walls to do it and put in new fixed walls and things like that. So it was going to have some modular piece, which is like, I've heard every worst thing now in a project at this point. Nothing in the ceiling, nothing on the walls, nothing in the floor, and the walls we do have are fake.
And divisible,
potentially.
They're not fake. They're there. They're just stupid.
Right.
They're stupid walls.
Okay. So I'll pause again. Do you all get requests like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every so often.
Yeah.
But
a lot.
I think you're going to answer the obvious next question is great. They gave you all of these parameters. This is the point when we say, well, how much budget did they have? And that's when it all falls apart.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you ask that question, it's like, okay, you've given me all these parameters. What are we talking with money?
So here's the interesting piece when we get, and we're going to have a whole segment dedicated to the budget.
Yeah, but you've already kicked it to the capital construction part, so that
I brought in the capital construction parts. And the capital construction asked myself and my director, are you guys good with the IT portion of this project and laying out the budget and creating that budget? And we said yes. We will create the budget that it's needed. We created it, right? So now take some of that pressure off, right? It's not being forced on us. Now here's the other good side. Right downstairs is our core network department. This is their home. They're right there, right? And so being able to work with them and have the liberty to say, well, here's how we're going to go about approaching it. They wanted to be able to reuse as much as network infrastructure that they could because that was how they knew they didn't want to open the walls because they had tried to replumb this facility in the past. Right. And so that's why we had some awareness of like, this is why we're not going to touch it. And there was a lot of surface mounted garbage in there. There was a lot. Like there's a lot of Panduit, there's a lot of things like that. It's not a pretty space. It never was. And so all those constraints, but we did have the liberty to have control over what we were going to propose for the budget and what it was going to need to be to be able to accomplish this, which gave us the ability to think about things, right? All of that kind of being out there, because of the constraints that they've given, I was like, this really is not going to fit any of our standard type go-to solutions. We're not going to find a typical conference room and put it in here. It's just not going to be that. I mean, could we? Yeah, we could have slapped a sound bar and blah, blah, blah. We could have done all that. It would have worked. But it really wasn't going to be. It wasn't going to be what they were going to want, right? And so.
Well, would they? I could play devil's advocate here. If you're talking about multiple modular spaces and moving stuff around, wouldn't some oversized carts with sound bars be a logical way you go with that?
Yeah.
Yes. And it is, and I think we're going to get there. And that we digested it as like, well, we know it's going to be non-standard, so let's not die on the hill of forcing standards into this place, right? And so we re-asked, like, so we're going to have a lot of non-affiliated OSU contractors working in space, and they said, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to maybe have traditional access or availability to authenticate, and so we're like, man, that in itself makes our standard conference room treatment kind of out the window right there, because you're logging in with an identity and we didn't want to have to go over into a sponsored accounts, and that was going to be really sticky for us to navigate that.
Do they have their own devices that they're bringing in?
Sure.
The expectation
mobile first, just
mobile first.
Be there.
I was told to me from on high, mobile first strategy.
Mobile first.
Reliability second.
So we have
BYOD.
Yeah, we have BYOD, mobile first, flexible, modular, impactful, no permanent mounting, The only thing that could have made this any worse, it was all glass and all concrete. That's the only, and I would have had the whole royal flush of terrible spaces to deal with in this. But they did give us carte blanche to recommend whatever we thought we'd recommend. And so as we went through it, it ended up being 7 small collaborative areas, and then that were in need of some type of technology. Like think of your traditional cuddle huddle space galore. And then like 2 of those are like a slightly bit larger. They were going to have some glass, like fishbowl, dirty kind of wall thing, glass wall, look through and you can see them. And then we're going to have a segment of those that are maybe only going to be 2 or 3 people with non-conference room tables and furniture. It's going to be more like hip, whatever.
Soft seating.
Yes, exactly. Space for 20 plus hoteling folks. And then the wow wall for the entryway. The big impact meeting space for the C-suite galore, telling the story of the work that's going on, and its adjacent cousin space, which is going to be pretty much the same capabilities, but a little bit smaller of an audience. That became like, that's what we're solving for. That was kind of what we needed to be able to provide technology in.
So the summary of the story is you started with a transformable space that was catering to 200 people, and now we're going to renovate a building and do a few conference rooms. Here you go.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
With soft seating.
With soft seating.
And dirt walls.
Dirt walls. And a wow wall.
Right.
Which is not made by dirt.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is.
So,
this shit never changes, guys. It never changes.
It never changes.
War never changes.
It's just, you start with something, you're like, I don't even know what this means. And you end up with a building of conference rooms. You're like, damn it.
Right. But I think there was trust in our group to be able to provide solution. And I'm before we kind of pause on today's piece of this, because we're going to get back into, I'm going to share kind of what we did, how did we focus on the infrastructure, how do we get our things in there. I'm going to give you the full treatment. I'm going to even get into the bill of materials, what we went into and how we ended up putting all this together. But kind of as the cliffhanger we go into this and kind of into this piece of the segment, we met with a lot of the folks that were working in there, the people that were heading up these little tiny sharpshooter groups that were doing the work of this project. And we asked them, how are they working? How are they communicating with their constituents and their stakeholders? What are they going through? And overwhelmingly, the answer to what it was is we spend our day in teams. We spend all day in teams.
Oh, this is your Teams room project shit? This is that?
This is
transformative.
It's transformative.
Yeah.
And so
after 26 minutes.
After 26 minutes, right. So, but that's...
This
but
is
here we
just
go.
a bunch of conference rooms.
Here we go. Right. This was like
Teams front end, and
you remember go back a year and a half, right? And but where we were like, oh god, Teams. Like okay, we're all using Teams. We have Teams.
I thought this was a new project, Mark. You had me sold.
No, this is one he's already completed.
Yes, I've completed this. I'm going through. See, you weren't paying attention. Anyway, so in that whole process, I was like, well, am I crazy enough to recommend Teams Room? Could we actually do this?
And I do want to point out as a bit of editorializing, this was the same weekend that you fell while skiing and hit your head several times.
Yes.
But we've all said, you've heard us saying in the right solution, right place, right? And
I have not said that.
You haven't? Okay, so wrong solution everywhere?
I have not said that Teams is the right solution anywhere.
Well, the rest of us have, I think, at some point.
I have not said that, and I never will.
So
there are potentially
what kind of odds are you going to give me that for?
Places that it makes sense.
This one started to say maybe it's heavy business focused.
You have so many other options besides Teams.
Non-affiliated use.
Cisco.
A lot of people we don't want to force you to be logging in. Mobile first strategy. And they're like, we want to be able to start to do things with AI and develop and have a lot of those things.
Above all of that, overarching,
I don't even know what that means.
Subpar experience. So,
well,
like AI.
When you drop the 200 people room, that opens up some doors, but you still have that one large room. I would be really interested how you work.
Yeah, no, and we're to get there. So this was the first time I'd ever really honestly explored, like, could this be a solution? And now remember, we were challenged. We want to see teams in a classroom. We want you to do this. And we fought. We're like, no, please, no. We are not ready to do that right now. We're not going to do teams room in a classroom yet. And so they were challenging us to explore the room system it offers. And they recognize, like, we spend our lives in teams. And like, is this the opportunity? Now, the risk for me is, am I about to recommend something we've never done, never supported, never, ever even played with in a space that is the highest level of the organization of my university?
Sure, why not?
Let's fucking go. Right? Like, that's what we ended up doing, because that was the treatment. I was like, I'm going to hold my nose and dive in here and figure out what it's going to take to actually do this and have a level of success. And I'm going to pause right there in this project piece, because when we dig back into this, I'm actually going to show you how we went about doing it, how we treated it as an infrastructure. I'll kind of give you the summary of the full scope of work and kind of get into some of the bill of materials and how we went about building it and who did the actual build of this and how we're supporting it.
This goes back to my, so you have a building where you have outside people. What are these do these outside people work for one company? Like, who are the people? Like, what happens when you get a company that wants to use a building that uses Zoom rooms at their corporate and not Teams?
This is not, we're not leasing out the space for other businesses. That's not what this is. I guess I need
an explanation. Like, well, you said outside university people, not education.
Non-affiliated consultants.
What is their email address? Like, what's
they are given
steve@gmail.com.
They are project related, Justin. They are surge laborers who are going to come in as technology workers as part of this project that has a definitive end and a beginning, and they're going to be on this IT team doing this work. They are not hired full-time employees of the university.
So they work for another company. Mm-hmm. Is it like a labor contract company that they're
knowledge contract? Knowledge contractors.
They're just contractors given access to the networking abilities of the building. Yeah. I mean, we hand out temporary.
Yeah, exactly. So
contractors, especially because if they're held, they're independent contractors that are working for the university, but they don't get university credentials.
Right,
they do.
Their data set is primarily sitting in SharePoint. That became another piece of this equation. The things they're working with day in and day out is in the SharePoint environment.
Like construction projects? Like, what projects what kind of projects
any
are we
kind of project.
Doesn't matter. Lots of knowledge, lots of data.
It could be database backend. It could be
think about lifting and
donors,
shifting massive on-prem old iron into the cloud, Justin. Like, you're going to take all the stuff that you're feeding servers and all those people, and we're going to think of a way that we're going to take that, move to the cloud, and how you're going to lift and shift all that stuff and all the integrity of that and the security and all those pieces. It's not bolts and cables. There's a lot more going on to that equation. But you also have to keep things in real. You can't turn it off. You got to keep it running while you're doing it.
University relationship research thing that you have going on there. It's
Justin, this weird. This sort of thing probably exists at WKU. You just haven't.
You're probably just not seeing it. Yeah. And so, but so that's.
I don't know if it does.
Day one. That's day one of this project, and so we kind of got the lay of the land. Day zero. Yeah, technically, it's mix of spaces, a bit of a remodel, some interesting AV challenges, and we're starting to think about could we do this with Teams? Are we just crazy enough to think that we're going to be able to pull this off?
Have we had enough to drink?
Yes. You all thought I was absolutely crazy.
Then they legalized mushrooms and we went after it.
So, but we're going to pause. We'll dive back into it and we'll touch base more on this project as we go through. And then if you guys have questions for how I have digested any of that or how you would have digested that, I want to hear from you as well, because let's talk about it. Fair?
Yeah, and this will be an ongoing series. We will return to this periodically. So yeah, definitely reach out with questions, or if you're experiencing something like this or you've done something similar. So, all right. To that end, if you want to reach out to us, we'll take a quick break, and Jamie's going to tell you how to reach out to us right now.
As many of you know, the Super Friends have always been better received when we have more input from you. So, here's your chance. Send us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and get involved with the show. We're looking for some topics to discuss, some fellow nerds to talk to, or just general AV awesomeness to brag about. but remember, we'll probably steal your ideas. And I suppose we'd take some criticism, but that wouldn't be very nice. Anyway, drop us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and find out how quickly we ask you to join this nonsense.
Right.
Alrighty. So final segment today. It's the first part of the year. Christmas is over. All the major manufacturers have sold off all their Christmas stock they've been shipping.
Is your tree still up, Justin? I'm just curious.
Oh, we take our stuff down the day after Christmas.
Oh, really?
Wait, what?
That's why we put it up so early.
You don't celebrate the 12 days of Christmas? It's bad luck to take it down before like the 5th of January.
Yeah.
Probably.
Seriously.
No, it's gone.
Go on.
Good Lord.
Gone.
Well, if you're interested in...
Do you have a Valentine's Day shit
Just
up?
like Walmart, we're on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Summer wears out. Yeah. Okay.
Labor Day.
Shorts. Literally wearing shorts right now.
Labor Day's coming up. All right. So speaking of seeing crap at retail, seeing things at retail, CES is going on right now. So your next Christmas tree, Justin, could have it could have a microphones
Hologram?
built into it or something. I don't know, whatever crap.
Smart ornaments. That's what we need.
It'll be a ornament made out of e-ink that can
know
show
what I am
you
doing?
pictures of the grandkids.
I am sick and tired of decorating for Christmas on the outside with all these ladders and shit.
You're just going to full-time LED.
This summer-
Yeah, you're doing the big one. I'm doing it too. I'm with you.
You are?
The LED one. Come on now. Let's go.
So I'm lining my entire house this summer
But
with LEDs.
Mark's LEDs on the outside
right.
of his house
They're
are
Teams
actually a Teams room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's
So
your problem, not my problem.
Jamie brought up the other day, I was at Costco the other day, and holy crap, at Costco, which is kind of like that, it's a benchmark, not benchmark, is that the right term? It's a
It's a litmus test. Yeah.
It's a red flag.
It's something.
It's the red flag.
It's notable
of
because
AV.
at
Warning
Costco now, you can get
Yes.
100-inch TVs, 100-inch, not
Yeah.
display,
For
but a TV.
$7.
The story I saw in particular, which led me down this rabbit hole, was that the Hisense, the direct from China display
It's all
manufacturer.
direct from China.
They it was announced that they're going to carry the 116-inch display at Costco, and I went, what?
Let's go.
And then CES kicked in, and then they announced 136-inch, which they don't know where they're going to sell it yet, but
gonna
Hisense
store
only sells in Best Buy.
Wait, they're going to sell so they're only making one. They're going to pick a
Just
Costco
one.
and sell that one. Yeah.
And what
Everybody
I
gets
really
one.
dialed into is especially the 100-inch. Our Sony and some of the others already have the 98s. We're kind of used to 86s, but we're not used to the 116, 136. And what I was really interested in is they're micro LEDs. They're LED walls. They are not just the traditional panels that we've been using normally,
Well, I don't
right?
think
That
you can
you're
make the glass
used to
that
seeing.
big for
What-
for cheap.
Panasonic
they
made
can or
Panasonic
can't.
made a 150, so it's
Yeah, they
possible.
made,
Well, I
remember
know,
that
but for
thing?
cheap,
That thing was
for,
ridiculous.
I didn't say it was cheap. I'm just saying it can't be done.
I just was like,
It's like the cost
damn,
of a house.
Two
this
houses.
means that direct view LED is coming to Costco. It's coming to Walmart. It's coming to Best Buy.
Your modular panels are coming to Best Buy.
And what does that mean for us? If you rewind the clock, 15 or so years ago, when you started being able to go to Walmart and buy a 55 or 65-inch TV for sub $500, everybody was like, well, I need these everywhere. And then we kind of hit a lull. I think what I was curious about was micro LED in these sizes at a consumer level. What's that going to do to our business? This business of projection, this business of buying $50,000 direct view panels that you have to custom.
Well, that one's
And-
dead, by the way.
They may or may not look better than the Costco special. And by the end of this year, would it be more prudent for us to get a Costco special 136-inch LED screen?
No.
Well, sometimes
Because
we
I'm
say
not-
no, and other times we're like,
We
you
talked
know
about
what?
this like at length yesterday. Like, what's this?
We
What's
talked
the
about
value
yesterday.
of this? Where
I'm
do you
not
see
doing-
the striking point of this?
I'm not doing that labor. I'm not going to go get it from Costco.
Justin,
Costco's
you're not doing the
gonna
labor
deliver it.
anyway.
Yeah,
You're hiring people.
We're
But there's
not-
the risk of it going down in the middle of class.
Send your
I
goon
don't-
squad.
I don't know, but I just bought a 136-inch, video wall, and it cost me, $33,000 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
right? And that was from a manufacturer. I got to put this damn thing together. At some point, I'm like, 136, and who knows how much this thing's going to cost? Maybe it is $36,000. I don't know. But if it comes in sub 10, I'm going to be thinking about it.
I
No,
don't think it'll be sub 10, but
I don't know. I'm prognosticating. Costco's cheap, you know. I buy some muffins.
All
Get me
about
a
scale.
slice of.
Get you a
give me
hot
one
dog
of
when
them
you're there.
dollar
Maybe a
dogs
rotisserie
on the way
chicken.
get a
out.
slice of pizza, get a rotisserie chicken, get some pants,
And a 136-inch screen.
Right.
get the newest
To get it
biography by
modular.
Burt Reynolds.
Needs to be modular. Once it hits modular, that shit will just fly off the shelves.
But that's where. But is that coming? That's where
it is
I started
coming.
getting really
It's
intrigued
coming.
of going. Oh man, is high because
People are gonna. So what's gonna happen is, since you're saying this, Jamie, you're gonna see 116 or 136 at Best Buy or Costco, and then you're gonna see some idiots out there in their trucks trying to figure out how to move this thing and their Volvos and and then they're gonna have to hang it and get in.
Yeah, you're saying the modular. Here's 4 boxes that are gonna
that
stitch
will
together.
drive in a fast forward motion the modular TVs because people are going to complain and the stores are going to give feedback.
It's got to fit in the back of my Tesla.
So
It's going to fit in the back of my truck. It's going to fit in the back of this.
I just want to point out, most of the 130, 136s, whatever, already, they don't ship as one piece.
No,
they
they're
ship in 5
4
pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
So you may very well, they may have already done
So
that.
they're
Yes.
modular.
Right.
Yeah.
I see that in the showroom, here's the 136-inch TV at Costco for $20,000. I'm like, screw it. I'm going big this year with my Christmas bonus. I'm buying that. But then it shows up as like 7 giant fucking boxes that I can load into my SUV and take
I'm
home.
fine with that.
Yeah. I think that's, my guess is that's a play because exactly what you said, and you see it every year at like Black Friday. Someone goes in and buys the 80-inch TV and they're standing behind their Honda hatchback and like seeing if they can shove it in through the door. And it's like, it doesn't fit.
I mean, I've talked for a year about my theater upstairs with this exact problem.
Yeah,
But you had to build a video wall because you can't get a TV
Conversation?
up there.
you got to put a new roof on your house to get your theater.
So I resulted in an 86-inch display, and once that dies, I hope the modular TVs are out. I'm going over 100-inch, and that's
I just find it really interesting that we're seeing those sizes now in the direct in the direct view at the consumer level. Now, again, the pricing on the big one isn't out yet because it was a CES special.
Yeah, I was looking it up here. So
Vaporware for all I know. But
there's no pricing on the Hisense 136. The TCL 115, also announced this year at CES, is $20,000 MSRP.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we're still looking at that like 30 for the 136. It's probably not out there to say that.
And here and there, the fact that it's available to everyday users.
Yeah.
That will
the
start
unwashed
driving
masses.
decisions.
But to me, it's like that whole question of like, we're talking about a consumer display here, right? And
Netflix comes preloaded.
Whatever it is, and that
it's
is
already
there
been
a
banned
time
from your network.
where like the wow factor and like this ease of modular whatever is okay, knowing that it's only going to last 3 or 4 years? Is that okay? Like, would this ever be in your kit? Because it might be an option.
Yeah, I think at that level, sure.
No,
not in the classroom.
Not unless it's modular. If it's
these
modular,
are the
I'm
smart
in.
Google ones. No, I don't want anything to do with the smart side of that. If it was a dumb display, absolutely, I give it a roll.
Sure.
I put Teams on the front end of that, and when it fails, I'll pull a
Does it
Chris,
come
and
with
I'll be
Teams?
somewhere else next year.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Jamie, to that point, it says running on Hisense's proprietary smart platform called Vita OS. It offers the usual catalog of popular streaming services, Netflix, Disney, YouTube, along with access to thousands of apps. It's Android.
Yeah.
It's an Android-based platform.
You just got my buy-in.
See, to me, they'd be better off putting no manufacturer on this. If they just didn't even put a name on it and it didn't have any badging.
They don't have a name on it. It says Hisense.
Yes. It was just a black box. And it just said made by leading manufacturer in China.
What if
Get that?
What if you got
from Alibaba.com?
That's what I'm saying.
What if
That's what I'm
Marc,
saying.
Wouldn't this be an opportunity for Black Box, the company, to actually then brand these?
Yes, it would. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it say, hey, this is somewhere between residential and commercial.
Yeah. And I think that
Right in the middle.
It still has the residential pitfalls that we all know and hate. I was just more intrigued by direct view LED 136-inch, and potentially in the near future I can buy it at Best Buy.
I will tell you that 136-inch is an intriguing size.
Yes.
It's almost the perfect size.
We've all spec'd that, and I know you have several. Anyway, one thing I want to throw out there, what about the concept that this is a loss leader? We're going to get this out there, and to Jamie's point, because people at Costco will see it, they will start thinking about it, and they will start asking for this sort of thing in their conference rooms, their classrooms, their business lobbies, whatever it may be, because, hey, did you see that giant thing at Costco? Let's look into getting one of those, and it's going to start to drive that market, which is good.
It's the kind of arms race inflation is what this kind of is, where where you'll see this sneak in is going to be like your athletics department, because they're like notorious. We're just going to go on down to Costco and buy something. Hey Jed, we saw this thing. It was $20,000, man. We're going to buy this, and we're going to put it right as our recruits walk in.
On the back of the box.
We're going to put it in. The recruits are going to walk in. It doesn't matter if it lasts a year and we get 3 recruits because they walked in and we're like, holy shit. Did you see that display when they walked in?
It'll be in the replay room, and it'll be labeled, the Marc screen.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like all it has to do is get one recruit to be like, wow, these guys they're putting their money where their mouth is. Like, I'm going to go here, and it's paid for itself. And it's almost disposable. If it lasts another day, it does not matter. If it lasted 1 year, it's lasted long enough.
Even those of us who are specifying LED displays like this, LED video walls, video arrays, whatever you call them, they're going in those wow factor spaces. They're going in the atriums. They're going in the boardroom. It's not going in a classroom yet, but I think what Jamie's getting at is this is another step closer to these starting to show up in hey, we're going to do this new building. We're going to do 2 of the large classrooms this way. Yeah, I know. There's people out there who have done that, and they've pissed away money in their lecture halls.
As soon as we can afford to throw it away, we'll put it in the C-suite.
Well, I think what is always I've tried to sell like the 119, the 120 inch direct views before, and everybody's like, well, because they can't see them, they can't touch them. They just see what's the billboard or they see what's at the sports arenas, and they think, well, that's overkill. Yeah. But they can go to the damn store and see it.
You know where you're going to see this? You're like small regional rock bands are going to use this as backdrops on their stage.
I bought 109 inch on a cart just because I have 3 clients that the price was right. The 3 clients who are on the fence, I'm like, as soon as they see it, they're going to buy it.
Yep.
They're going to buy one because as soon as it's in front of them, they're like, damn, that's it. That's the one I want.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. We just put one in, a stadium over here, and then the student union was like, oh, we want that.
It's the arms race.
Yeah. I've talked to you guys about, like, there's a 110 I'm going to repurpose, and I'm going to mount on not a rollable, but a transportable cart system so it can go around for events and things so more people will see it. Oh, you're zooming that person in. We'll put them up on that giant thing over there. Yeah. Holy crap, that looked good. What's it cost for us to get that in our room?
Yeah. So that's where I think it's really curious and really interesting. And CES is full of vaporware and bullshit and nonsense. But this one in particular, I'm like, we're going to see it. We're going to see it this year.
It's the warning shot.
Let's see what happens.
More to come on large format cheap displays.
Yes.
I mean, we had the same conversation every year at Black Friday too, because people are like,
wow,
prediction. The Black Friday 98 inch displays on for sale for $200. Like, dude,
when are displays going to be free?
As a service, you can't turn it on. Yeah.
No, there'll be a special TV.
You just pay monthly
where you can literally just walk in the store and it's free if you sign a contract.
I see that coming
as a service.
I absolutely like the old telephone system. Where AT&T owned your telephone, you just rented it from them.
Built-in apps, built-in advertising.
Justin, to that end, I saw a thing floating around the other day where people on, I think it was the Amazon Fire TV. I may get that wrong. When they mute, because the commercial, the streaming service all run commercials.
The commercials.
It unmutes during commercials.
Yeah, it pisses you off.
Yep. Is this not America anymore?
That's not even Mexico.
It was my $100 70-inch TV. If I want to get rid of the ads, then I can give them $500 extra bucks.
Well, would you if that was your cable service? If that was your cable service, you could sign up for your tier. And I have tier 1 that it comes with a 125-inch display that they show up and slap up there. And you're just going, it's just as a service, it was $200 a month. Would you do it?
Somebody's doing that.
I don't know.
It's out there right now. It's like
Jamie researches.
No, I saw it pop but I'll get back to you on that. But there is a subscription-based large-ass television, but it has a second screen. There's a lower screen that they run ads on all the time.
No. They have
but it's a $1 television. It's this giant ass television.
So, and we'll see that. So if you just do the quick math on, say you're going to live somewhere for 10 years, or your 10-year life cycle on the giant TV du jour, whatever, are you willing to pay $40 a month for the giant TV? people will probably do that. So it's coming.
Telly,
there it is.
Telly.com.
Telly Savalas owns his own. Wow.
Raul was all he back
55-inch 4K theater with a smart screen, and it's basically free.
Yeah.
Telly.ru.
All right, Justin,
Totally
get it.
legit.
You want one? Get it. Show us. Sign up.
Yep. Become a dealer.
Mm-hmm. I've thought about
American.
it.
Yes.
I'm not going to sell out. I'm not a sellout.
You'll buy in, won't you?
Yeah.
You just have to get an account
out here.
Get an account. They'll send you the damn box.
All right. Well, while Justin looks for a television service that he can charge people monthly to show them ads.
I'm not going to. That's not. No, I'm not doing that.
Because you're in sales.
Yes.
I'm not in sales.
If any one of us are, it's you, sir.
Jamie just said he was trying to sell some shit to someone just on this episode. I heard it.
Convince people to do stuff. Yeah, so.
Well, yeah. So,
if nothing else, I think we'll all agree that displays are getting cheaper and larger, and we're going to start to see the LED ones show up more places. So.
Or free.
Yep. Or free.
All right. Well, until next time.
We'll be back next week with more of this nonsense. Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV Super Friends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV Super Friends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.